Hey, good afternoon, guys. Tush coming at you. It's just coming up to 3:30 on Saturday, April the 30th, and we're back out in the garage, and we're going to do some work on the TRs today. It's been so long I forgot where we left off, but I know I want to get back underneath the 60 TR3, and we're going to have a look at the exhaust and see what we need to do. I know I need to put the exhaust clamp back on there that's sitting underneath the car at the moment. Because I do want to take this car in the near future to the exhaust shop, and I need to put that clamp back on before I put the tires back on and get it off the jack stands. And the reason why I want to get it off the jack stands is because I want to get the TR6 ready for the spring, which means that I've got to do my regular sort of routine maintenance spring things, which means an oil change and the differential fluid top up and just fastener checks and etc. before I get this out on the road. So I need the jack stands to be able to do that because I have 6 stands underneath the TR3 at the moment. So I think that's what we're going to do is, like I said, get in there, put that clamp on, put the wheels on, and then get the TR6 jacked up and ready to get the oil changed. So we're going to do that.
Alright guys, not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but this is how close I am to the exhaust being completed. And obviously that's a bit of a butcher job there. But you can probably see what I was trying to do. So I don't know if you can see to the back of the car, but I've got the rear of the exhaust mounted pretty much where I want it. It's a Pacesetter exhaust or a Monza style exhaust, and you can see it's just clearing my sway bar back there. So here's the middle section that I'm concerned about, and you can see the stock factory clamp here that sort of clamps between the two frame rails. So I'm just putting that in. There's one of the bushings for it. Anyway, it obviously connects to the header up here, so it's a pretty short pipe from the header to the mid pipe that goes through the box section on the frame. So really this is the area that's been giving me trouble, and what I've tried to do is I've tried to extend the Monza exhaust to come up through the box section a little further, so I've welded a piece of pipe on. And you can see I've just tack welded this really short piece of pipe there. So I wanted to get the Monza exhaust to come and sort of clamp in the area where the factory clamp clamps. So I'll probably have to shorten that pipe a little bit and bring that section back where the join is. But anyway, I'm going to have to get Muffler Shop to sort of work on this middle section. This was originally from the race car, this pipe. And it's an older pipe, so I may actually get them to create a new pipe on that flange, or get me a new flange altogether. So that's where we're at as far as the exhaust is concerned on this car. Just wanted to give you a quick shot of that. So like I said, we're just reinstalling the factory clamp, and then we'll take it up to the exhaust shop to let them figure out what they want to do to fix this. Obviously need to, that's the speedo cable, we need to tuck that up a little bit better, but we'll figure out what where the exhaust run goes before we go ahead and finish that up. Alright, that's it for now.
Alright, we got the exhaust clamp all figured out, and we got the 60 TR3 off the jack stands. So what's left is to put the 73 TR6 up on jack stands and get it ready for its oil change. Most likely going to be tomorrow now. Alright guys. Hey, good afternoon guys. Tush coming at you. It's just come up to 4:30 on Friday, May the 6th, and we finally got a nice day outside where it's bright and sunny and more seasonal as far as the temperature is concerned, so that's a good thing. We're finally out in the garage with the t-shirt and shorts on. It's the way it should be. Anyway, let me get over there. I think I last left off and I was telling you that I was going to clean the garage up and get the TR6 up on jack stands. So we managed to do that today, earlier today. And the plan is to change the engine oil out and the filter, and we'll probably do some work on the differential, probably top that up. We'll probably maybe take a look at the overdrive unit and clean the filters, and we may even go so far as to pull the axle shafts and re-grease those, because it's been a few years since I've done those. So that's the plan anyway, and then we'll get the hard top off and get the soft top back on, and we'll be ready to hit the road. So had a little bit of excitement today earlier. I was working on the Pathfinder and I was having a problem with the lower control arms being seized on there, so I was breaking the oxyacetylene torch kit out and hooked the regulator up and turned the valve on for the oxygen, and the glass shattered in the gauge. So that was pretty exciting. It was, you can see, it was an oil-filled gauge. I don't know if you can see in my garage door, and it's covered with the oil spatter from where the gauge blew. I'm glad I had the garage door closed. Otherwise, that would have been all over the TR6. You can actually see it on the truck as well. Not so concerned about the truck, but anyway, it made a hell of a noise and shattered the glass. It's a good thing I was wearing glasses. So yeah, that was a little bit of a scare. So definitely need to invest in some new gauges or new regulators for the torch. That's it for now, guys. We'll maybe take you underneath the car when we start working on it, and like I said, we're going to start changing the engine oil, so we'll do that first.
All right, guys. The oil draining away, and while that's draining nicely, I thought we'd sort of try to tackle the filter in the Overdrive, and I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this or not. See if I can get some better light on it. So this is a J-type overdrive, and you can tell the difference between J-type overdrives and A-type overdrives by the bottom of the overdrive. The A-types have a round brass plug, and the J-types have this rectangular plate on the bottom with 6 bolts holding it. So the filters are underneath that plate. So what I need to do first is drain the transmission, and then we're going to take that plate off. But in order to do that, I need to take the exhaust off. So I'm going to take at least one, if not 2 of these pipes off, or both of the pipes in the center section, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, because I've always had a problem with these Falcon stainless steel exhaust pipes sealing properly. You can actually see maybe on that one a little bit. You can actually see where it's got a little bit of a leak, even though I've got a band clamp on there. So we're going to drop this center section of the exhaust in order to change that filter on the Overdrive. So wish me luck getting the exhaust off. Hopefully it comes off okay, and we'll bring you back when I made some progress. Alright guys, that didn't take too long actually. That's the benefit of having a stainless steel exhaust on this car. And I think on this car in particular, it's great to have a stainless steel exhaust, because you have to remove it if you want to service things like that, or you want to drop the diff out. So it's always nice to have the joints come apart easily. So I highly recommend the stainless steel exhaust systems that are on the market. Anyway, so we've got to that housing pretty easily. I'm just waiting for the rest of the engine oil to drain, and then we're going to move the oil pan over here, and we're going to drain the transmission itself. Just a reminder to make sure that you can get your fill plug out, which is actually up on the side of the tranny, before you actually take the drain plug out. It's always sort of a good thing to do, just in case. Alright, we'll be back. So it's good to see that the transmission oil is nice and clean. I use 30 weight non-detergent in this Overdrive transmission. So we're just going to drain that out, and then we're going to replace it with 30 weight non-detergent after we clean that filter out. Alright, we'll wait for this to drain for, I'll probably have dinner and then come back out and play with it. Alright, guys, just before I go in for dinner, I figured I would pull that cover off the Overdrive and let it drain. I'd rather have it drain for the next hour as opposed to it leaking down my arm for the next hour. So we'll let it drain for a little bit. So I've taken the one filter off, and I'll show you that in the next part of this video. And the next filter I'm going to want to get to is that small round center plug. There's a filter under that. So that plug has to, or that cap has to come off. So there's this little special tool that you can either make. I don't think I've actually heard of anyone actually buying one. You can actually make a small tool to twist that cap off. Or some other guys just use you know, some needle nose pliers or other methods to get that cap off. But there's a little filter in there that's probably full of junk. I've never cleaned that filter. I've cleaned the actual other filter on the plate, but this filter will have a look and see how clean or dirty it is. It's going to be a bit of a surprise for me as well. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. We'll let this drip, and we'll get back out here after to get a little bit better shot of that without getting any oil on the camera, hopefully. So that's what the bottom of the Overdrive looks like. Alright guys, alright, it stopped dripping enough to play with it a little bit. So again, there's a shot of the middle filter, and you can see I've started backing it out. It's no longer flush with the bottom of the overdrive. So I'll show you the tool if I can. This was made by one of our club members, and I've had it for a while. I intended on doing this last year, so I think I've had this tool. I borrowed this tool for about a year. So here it is. This is kind of a homemade tool, and again, it's just intended to fit into the two pins and then just turn it. So that worked well to get it loose. Let me see if I can adjust my flashlight again for you so it doesn't stick in the oil pan. You can still see that. And once you get it started, and then I could be able to see that with my hand there, you should be able to just turn that out, and you'll find a little filter under here. Okay, we'll just let that drain, and the little filter is just inside the cap. We'll come back. Guys, so full disclosure here, I sort of screwed up. So I was kind of messed up on the actual plugs, and as I mentioned, I thought that the high pressure filter was under the middle plug, but that's actually the pump plug, and then the other plug, which is not the one that's obviously out, that's the actual relief valve plug. So obviously the high pressure filter is in the larger of the holes, so just wanted to point that out, just not to confuse anybody. And that little hole, maybe I can show it here. I just have to sort of switch hands a little bit, so hang on for a second. So that little other filter I showed you before, it's called the suction filter. I don't know if I can do this or not with one hand. I don't think I can. I should do it a little bit farther. So the suction filter, actually you see the hole here, the suction filter actually fits up into this location here. So that's what the filter looks like. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but that's the suction filter location before the sump cover, overdrive cover goes back on. Alright, so just wanted to show you that. Alright, we'll take a look at that filter now. Bring you right back. Here's what the high pressure filter looks like. So you've got the cap, and I'll just flip that over so you know what I'm talking about. There's the cap. There's a washer that actually goes, it actually just goes here. Sorry, goes right there on the cap. And then there's the actual filter itself. I don't know if you can see this very well, but it has got a lot of dirt in it. Let me just get my my trouble light here. See if you can see that a little bit better. You can see how much crap and crud and metal bits are in there. Like I said, I've never cleaned this filter in the 9 years that I've owned this car, so it's definitely due to be done. So the reason I'm changing it is because I'm not getting a sort of crisp shift into overdrive that I used to. So I think that this filter being clogged has something to do with that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this filter inside, we're going to run it under some hot running water or soap and water, and we're going to clean this filter out and get all that crap out of there. So I got a disposable container over here. We're just going to throw it in there, bring it inside, wash it up, we'll bring it back out and we'll show it to you afterwards. Alright guys. So what I've decided to do is to get some lacquer thinner and a brush, and we're just cleaning it the best we can. It's looking better already. I'm not sure if you can see that. And what we're going to do then is just going to blow it out with some compressed air and make sure we have all the little bits out of the seams. And yeah, it's quite a bit of metal in there. I don't know if this filter's ever been out of this car. So anyway, like I said, good opportunity to clean it up. I've been meaning to do it since last driving season and never got around to it. So I'm glad I got to it this year. Alright guys, we'll come back. Alright guys, just coming up to about 9 o'clock and we're pretty much done for the evening. I just wanted to show you a quick look at some of the stuff that came out of the filter. So obviously some metal shavings in here. I don't know if you can see that really well. Let me get the light on it. Some, which is to be expected. But we had a lot of debris in that filter. It's surprising that it was actually working at all. So
Anyway, we've got the filter now nice and clean, if you can see that. So that's looking much better. There's the plug, and then there's the washer all cleaned up, so we're ready to go back in, and we'll continue on tomorrow. Alright, we'll upload this tonight, guys, and we'll get back out here and we'll finish the job up tomorrow, hopefully. Talk to you later.